Jorge. I don't know if blondes have more fun, but I certainly enjoy looking at myself when I'm blonde. Hey, dolls, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15, Episode 9. And to kick things off, I'd like to thank this week's Tipperdoos, Patty, MLS, Ocean, NYC, Not to Midnight, Chuck Missildine, Fetus, and Sir Paul, who watches the Fingerdoo review with his Jeremy every week here in Toronto. Cooey boys! All these gorgeous people use the YouTube app, which is located just below this window. I also have two OG PayPal Tipperdoos in the mix, Miranda Kirkness, whom I also had a fabulous chat with this week, and Janice Zirin. I hope I said that right. My new friend. Thanks, dolls, for your support and your generosity. I couldn't be doing this without you, seriously. I also want to welcome a new Patreoner to the Fingerdoo family, Diva James Mialiak. I hope I said that right, James. And I hope to see you at our next live chat. I also need to welcome back Princess Lady Jenny Anytime, who I know will be at the next live chat. She has so little else to do, I'm just going to say. The link to joining the Fingerdoo family or leaving a Tipperdoo are all down below in my description box. I know it sounds dirty. Now, Jorge, drink me! Oh, look at this. What is this? A classic Cosmo. Oh, Jorge, you're spoiling me. Well, if that doesn't put sex in my city, nothing will. Seriously. So, the top 9 were feeling it after the Lollapalooza. Marsha felt like Jax's sachet was a long time coming, seeing as she lip-synced a total of 5 times this season. I get what Miss Cubed is saying, but to be fair to Jax, 3 of those lip-syncs were on the same day. Let's face it, they've all lip-synced at least once at this point, so no one's pulling a Bianca anymore, so calm down, just saying. As badly as Anitra felt about sending Jax home, especially after Jax threatened to get her back in her lipstick message, Anitra was relieved to show the other queens that she was a winner. As if they didn't know. As the queens waited for what the week would bring, Spice announced that her top era was rescheduled to start today. Apparently it needed a nap before taking effect. Not to be left out, Mistress announced that she was going to start her Miss Congeniality era now. Chance would be a fine thing. Before anyone could call shade on Mistress, RuPaul arrived in, well, practically the same outfit she wore last week in the workroom. Sans shoulder pads. Am I wrong? It's close. By the way, is Klein Epstein Parker not dressing Ru anymore? Because I seriously doubt they made that. It's Gucci, right? The big news was that this week was marking RuPaul's Drag Race's 200th episode. The even bigger news was that we were getting a mini challenge. Glory be! There must have been a lot to cut from this episode is all I'm thinking. Let's hope it was Lucy's whining. The queens got the regulation 15 minutes to get into quick drag for one of my favorite mini challenges, the photo bomb. In honor of the 200th episode of Drag Race, the queens got to photo bomb moments from Drag Race history. My faves were Anitra's photo bombing Willow Pill's talent performance from season 14 by doing a cannonball into her tub. I love it when my tub gets cannonballed. Mistress got to photobomb Ru from season 11 as Morgan McMichaels popped a Priscilla. And by Priscilla, I mean ping pong ball. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, for shame. I have to admit, I was more impressed by Marcia Cube's look than her actual photo. She slapped on a bald cap to photobomb Jinx Monsoon's season 5 finale crowning. Clearly, she wears much more makeup than we had originally thought. Lucy photobombing Serena Cha-Cha in the water tank from season 5's mini challenge was fabulous. Mostly because it looked like she was drowning her. Tell me I'm wrong. Of course, honorable mentions go to Astides photobombing Laganja's season 6 entrance, but the real star of that photo for me was Astides hand gloves, mostly because it was the name of my Fringe play. Lux photobombed Vivacious and Ornacia's season 6 photo shoot by kicking them off the platform. I don't know whether it was hard for Lux to be that physical or she was just getting into character, but I'm with Spice. I was all about her grunting. The rest were okay. Malaysia bombed Vanjie, Spice bombed Gaga, and Sasha bombed Ru, but they weren't as big a bomb as the others. Seriously. Not that it mattered, because the winner of the mini-challenge was Anitra. Cue Lucy thinking she should have won. Again. Apparently Anitra's cannonball is just more popular. Well, that's what it says on the bathroom wall at any rate. And then it was time for the Maxi Challenge, a ball! As per usual, the queens would be presenting 3 looks for the runway. Look 1's theme was Start Your Engines, an update of Ru's classic racing suit. I like the queens acting like they didn't know this category was a-coming. As if they didn't already have that look in their dance bags, I'm just saying. Look 2's theme was My Favorite Ball. The queens had to take a look from a past ball and eleganza it up. Seeing as there's been 14 balls before this one, I was hoping this wouldn't be another Season 8 Night of 1,000 Madonnas. Hope springs eternal. The last and final looks theme was Crystal Eleganza because, seeing as it was Season 15, the 15th anniversary is represented by crystal, hence the crystal ball. So, the queens had to create a look dripping in crystals with the materials provided. The lady said dripping. Mark it down. Lucy was excited for this challenge because she was gagging to show the queens that she was the one to beat. Again. Maybe this time it'll stick. Right away there was drama. As the queens grabbed for fabric and crystal, a jar of pearls and beads got smashed. Lux totally blamed Marcia Cube for it because apparently Miss Lux is the only one there looking to win a crown. There was even time this episode for a walkthrough with Ru. Well, and Carson. We didn't see them talk to everyone, mind you, just Spice, Mistress, and Miss Titties. Spice got red for having the same silhouettes up till now without much personality, which I think was fair. Spice thought that meant that she should wear a longer skirt. So pretty. Mistress had her design plotted out on paper, which impressed Carson and Ru, but what impressed me was how Mistress was able to shade the other queens' lack of style, calling their looks gluttonous and gaudy, yet still keeping the conversation about herself. Lux should take notes, I'm just saying. Miss Titties, as per usual, had a lot of ideas for one dress. Thankfully, Carson reined her in with the age-old adage, less is more. Ru asked Miss Titties how she was doing, and well, she got emotional talking about how hard it was to be in a room with queens who all thought they were the best. I thought it was interesting that Ru told her not to hide her emotions. Her reasoning was that it was the emotions that make us love them more. But what she really meant was it was the emotions that created camera time. Well, maybe not for this season. One of my favorite moments was the workroom riding Lucy about her emotional outburst about not winning the Daytona Wins Challenge. See? Camera time. Mistress was particularly opinionated about it. I thought it was so funny, and I bet that if Lucy wasn't so tense about it all, she would have thought so too. But she wasn't. So she didn't. I know, I'm shocked too. But the funniest part was when Mistress needed help darting her outfit, and the only one in the room with the skills was Lucy. Not only is Karma a bitch, it's a bigger bitch than Mistress. And then it was Elimination Day. As the queens got ready, Anitra talked about how she hadn't talked to her mother in 5 years. Apparently, one day she found Anitra's drag, but reassured her that it was okay for her to be who she was. And then a week later, she told Anitra she was making everyone in the house uncomfortable and she had to leave. Right then and there. Do not pass go. Do not say goodbye to your siblings. This was very sad because clearly the one in the house who was uncomfortable with Anitra was her mother's husband. Needless to say, there were tears. All right, tissue me! We run out of tissues? What's going on? I'm just so happy to hear that there was a silver lining in this horrible tale. Anitra was able to reconnect with her father, who is now one of her biggest supporters. He took her in and even bought her her first sewing machine. Here's to Anitra's dad, and not because he's a total cutie, but it helps. And then it was time for the runway. Ru looked like she dipped into her AJ and the Queen wardrobe with those vinyl arm gauntlets, but I wasn't mad at it. Michelle looked gorgeous in gold. Carson looked lovely in blue and silver lame, and joining them at the judges' table this week was Emmy Award-winning star of Ozarks and Inventing Anna. And if rumors can be believed, the actress chosen by Madonna to star in the title role of her upcoming biopic, Julia Garner. To commemorate the 200th episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, Ru served up some cake and candy. The single off her new album, Black Butter, and by served, I mean performed. And then it was time for the crystal ball. The first category was Start Your Engines. Mistress's recreation of Ru's racing suit was okay, and she looked good in it, but short of the various patches sporting catchphrases, there wasn't much of an upgrade there. Still, I gave her a Fingerdoo. I have to admit, I like Spice's look more for its update to the racing suit, but as far as what she's worn down that runway in the past, a mini skirt and a crop top on her is getting predictable. And by predictable, I mean boring. Oh, I still gave it a Fingerdoo. Speaking of crop tops and minis, Luxx looked like she dipped into Spice's wardrobe, which was too bad since, well, she followed Spice. Not that she cared or noticed. Fingerdoo for Luxx. I gave Marcia a Fingerdoo as well because, well, she looked fabulous in her pastel racing suit. And I also noticed that her makeup looked gorgeous, mostly because she was wearing some. Titties looked okay in her blue racing suit, but it was so baggy that it looked more like something you'd wear to jump out of a plane in, so I had to give it a Fingerdoo. Malaysia's racing suit was cute and understated and let her face be the star of that show, so I totally gave her a Fingerdoo. I like her face. Lucy's outfit was busy. I even got exhausted listening to her list all of her influences, so when I caught my breath, I had to give her a Fingerdoo. Sasha's racing suit gown was so gorgeous I gave it a Fingerdoo before she'd reached the end of the runway. Seriously. Anitra's yellow jumpsuit, it was yellow, wasn't it? Everyone said it looked green. I don't know. Either way, it was a fave for me, and her nod to both her parents' family trees made it a clear Fingerdoo. Seriously. The next category was my favorite ball. No one cares what your favorite ball was, Jorge. Calm down. Mistress chose the ball as her inspiration. I thought the beach balls were cute, if not a bit busy. Still, I gave her a Fingerdoo for committing to the theme. Marcia chose the bag ball because, at the end of the day, bags are still fabric, and that helped her create this canvas bag milkmaid. Fingerdoo. Because she's a hairdresser, Malaysia chose the hairball, and I'm so glad she did. She looked gorgeous, so I totally gave her a Fingerdoo. Spice also chose the ball as her fave and covered herself in pom-poms. Are they still balls? Still, I gave her a Fingerdoo. Titties chose the money ball, and I have to say, this was my least fave of the night. Why that palm tree silhouette? It's the main reason I gave her look a Fingerdoo. Seriously. I also gave Lucy's Ode to the Bag Ball a Fingerdoo too. Not that I didn't like it, but there were no bags to be seen. Well, just that one, and it stank. That's 2 Fingerdoos for Lucy. Something tells me she's not winning this challenge either. Warn the queens. Luxx also chose the hairball and looked gorgeous. I thought it was funny that she mentioned she'd whittled her waist down to a mere 20 inches. What is it usually, 21, 22? Seriously. She also claimed that she was the most gorgeous on the runway. Was she? No. But she still got a Fingerdoo. Sasha's bag ball inspired bag of weed look was funny and adorable, so I had to give it a Fingerdoo. As for Anitra's sugar ball look, it could have been sweeter if you ask me, so I gave it a Fingerdoo. I think that's her first of the season for me. The last category was Crystallized Eleganza. Mistress looked expensive. I would have liked to have seen more crystals on it, but for someone who needed help with her darts, I'm impressed that she made that, so I totally gave her a Fingerdoo. Seriously, look at that. It's gorgeous. Spice's two-piece was cute even without the biscuit, but that longer skirt really did nothing to change her silhouette. Still, Fingerdoo for effort and not trotting. Marcia Cube's Marie Antoinette-inspired crystal look was cute. I would have liked to have seen more crystals on this look, but at least she dripped. Not like that, not like that. For Malaysia's second time making an outfit for herself, I was impressed. Again, she dripped, she sparkled, she looked so cute I gave her a Fingerdoo too. Seriously. Estini's strapless gown was cute in theory, but it just didn't fit her very well, and that was made more obvious because it was made out of satin. I still gave her a Fingerdoo because it was the nicest thing she's worn all evening. Bless. Lucy looked okay, but the crystal theme got lost with her art imitating life runner-up banner. Also, when will these queens learn that a fishtail gown needs to fishtail at the knee, not the thigh? Dare I give Lucy a third finger don't? I dare. Lux's crystal fairy was cute, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Sasha's look was gorgeous from the waist up, but from the waist down it looked like she'd borrowed it from the Spice collection. Still, Fingerdoo for Sasha. Anitra's look was my fave. It was stunning, which was good because it distracted from that shake and go wig she had on her head. Fingerdoo for Anitra, just not the wig. Then it was time for the judges' critiques. Safe this week were Marsha, Malaysia Baby Doll Fox, and Lux Noir London. Lux did not look happy about it. Who else is shocked? Estides was first under the microscope. Her looks were well received, but there were clearly some fit issues with all of them. Spice wasn't the worst of the evening, but her fighting the urge to prance was noticed by Michelle, and not in a good way. The idea of using a shock collar to keep her from prancing was brought up by Carson, which made me laugh. I mean, if anyone could benefit by being shocked out of annoying behavior, it's Carson. Am I right? Mistress was clearly a fave with the judges. They gushed over everything. Thank goodness most of it was vinyl. Lucy got some kudos, but she was clearly not in the top. Carson thought her bag look lacked bags, and, well, her mermaid tail needed to be lower to balance her figure. What did I say? Sasha was another clear fave of the evening. Everyone loved her looks, but her story of how she found the House of Colby as a baby queen who knew she was trans won the judges' hearts. There was a lot of crying this episode, I'm not ashamed to say. No, I'm okay. Finally, it was time for Anitra to get some love from the judges. Although Carson did have some issues with her taffy titties, and Michelle commented on her resting bitch face and how she needed to give it a rest. At least she said it with love. And then it was off to the Untucked Lounge. The Safe Queens congratulated themselves for being part of the 200th episode, but none of them were pleased to be safe. Malaysia's hopes were high naturally because she'd done so well with the last sewing challenge. Miss Cube expected to be in the top because, well, she'd not only gone against her aesthetic by being blingy, but because she'd gone against the norm of not wearing a gown, which brings us to Lux, who was singing Lucy's tune by saying she was supposed to be in the top. Her look was the most creative, the most eleganza, the most crystal. Malaysia didn't help matters by pointing out that the judges didn't ask for creativity. They asked for eleganza, which was a good point. Not that Lux agreed with her. She was convinced that she had the best look of the night. Of course she did. Thankfully, the other queens arrived and took Lux's attention off herself. It was clear that Sasha was in the top and Estides was in the bottom again, poor thing. And Spice was clearly in the bottom too, but her attitude about it was great. Of course, Lucy's impression of how she didn't seem to mesh with reality, as far as Malaysia was concerned. Anitra commented on Michelle calling her out for having a resting bitch face, which, as far as the other queens were concerned, wasn't a surprise to them, which seemed to surprise Anitra. Seriously? Thankfully, Julia Garner dropped by to fangirl on the queens. She had some great advice on how to stay grounded in stressful situations and said if she were a drag queen, her name would be Twiggalicious. But then she loves olives, so maybe a better name would have been Olive Twist. I think she should go with Cutie Pie, because that was my drag queen name in high school. Back on the main stage, it was announced that Sasha Colby was this week's winner. Here's the Sasha Colby. Well done, just saying. Ru called Lucy a lovely third runner-up. You could just hear the other queens' buttholes pinching shut at the thought of her bitching about not winning. Again. Of course, that left us Titties and Sasha in the bottom. They had to lip-sync to Lil Nas X's That's What I Want. And although I like this song and Lil Nas X, I'm not a fan of drag queens singing to boy voices. Just me. Titties took a more emotional route and really performed the number, while Spice got cute trying to be a better dancer than everyone knows she is. I'll say this, she looked gorgeous. So did Titties. She was restrained elegance, and in her defense, that dress stayed right where it was supposed to. I had visions of it sliding down to the ground, I'm just saying. So when the music died, I was happy to hear that it was Selena S. Titties who was chanting, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I was sorry to see Spice sashay away. As predicted, the sewing challenge tripped Spice up. And here I thought it would have been that trotting. So, what do you think? Had Spice gotten as far as she could? Did his titties deserve to be in the bottom? And how hard will it be for the other queens to live with third runner-up Lucy LaDuca? We're down to 8 queens now. Who do you think should be next to go? They're all so strong in so many ways. I hope his titties can avoid the bottom next week. Otherwise, it could possibly be her. All we can do is tune into RuPaul's Drag Race next week to see how it all plays out. And when you're done, come on back and see me so you and I can compare notes. Now, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and check out my links in the description box for other ways you can help support the Fingerdoo review. Until next week, miss me! Mwah! Seriously, Jorge. Ooh, a classic Cosmo. I know his titties has been in the bottom a couple of times already this season, but I feel like Lucy's starting to let the pressure of not winning get into her head, and that could possibly cause her to start circling the drain, I'm just saying. Especially with Mistress riding her the way she is. I have to say, I think the best way to deal with Mistress is to just laugh at everything she says and accept it as the joke she's trying to sell it as. I think that if Lucy did that, it would stop Mistress from bothering her, because I'm sure Mistress just does it because she gets a rise out of Lucy, bless her heart. Lux is another one. She's letting not winning get to her, and it's all about her ego. She clearly thinks she is the best thing to happen to drag since RuPaul, but there are 8 other girls there. Well, 7 now. I don't know. At some point, she has to wake up and smell the coffee and realize that she's good, but so are some of these other queens. It's going to be a fight. I'm not saying that she doesn't deserve to win a crown or money, but I'm just thinking that her mental state is going to affect how she progresses. Bless her heart. I mean, even Violet Chachki started being nice to other queens at some point, I'm just saying.